Well, here we are at the London Book Fair 2012. My name's Rupert Matthews. I'm the editorial director at Bretwalda Books. I've met the author of one of our books, Marian Newell, who wrote A Devil's Dozen, a thrilling novel about smuggling in early 19th century England. Thought this was a good opportunity to have a little chat with her. Marian, tell me, what led you to write the book A Devil's Dozen?
I came across the story while I was researching my family history, and I got back to sort of my grandparents' grandparents and found a Ransley, and found that name was actually quite famous in Kent for highwaymen, thieves, smugglers and gypsies, and so that was really where I started. And I was quite surprised to find that the story hadn't been written in fictional form. There were local histories just reporting the facts, and there were some novels that were written in the 19th and early 20th century that were more fanciful, loosely based on some of the facts. And so coming to it perhaps more like we do these days with dramatisations on television and films and things, I thought I would like to take the facts and try to stick to what was known, but fill in the many gaps, and that was really how it came to be.
I see. Now you're saying you've had to do a lot of research into the facts for this book. So how much of the story in the book is actually true?
I don't think there's anything in it that's not true, or at least not intentionally untrue, but there is a lot that there's no record for. The characters are expanded from really just rumours, things that people remembered. There was a historian who wrote a book in the 1920s and was able to record some living memory or close to living memory, and so that was where I started, and I fleshed out the people and then really just asked myself, you know, why was this person there? Why were they found together? You know, these people worked together. What did that mean? And that was where it took me, really.
When I was reading this book, I must say one of the things that particularly impressed me was where you managed to flesh out the secondary characters, the wives, the children, the chap who ran the pub that the smugglers drank in, and so on. Are they real characters, or did you have to invent them?
All of the names, virtually all of the names are real. Just some characters where they only have a first name are perhaps put in to serve a purpose. But the pub landlord was really that man, and he was related to one of the men who stood trial earlier. And all the wives and children are documented, so they are all real people.
So what was it made you tell this story from the smuggler's side?
I think I really just thought it was more exciting, but it did enable me to go from the beginning to the very end, so that as well as looking at what happened and how they were captured, we also looked at how they were tried and the sentence they received and what that meant, where they were kept, and that took me to things like the hulks that they kept prisoners on and transportation to the colonies. So it was really that scope that I found interesting.
Now the novel actually finishes when the smugglers get to Australia, but at the end you do include quite a lot of information on what happened to them afterwards and what their lives in Australia were like. Was it difficult doing the research on the Australian side for this book?
I did have help there, because there is a genealogical a group for the descendants of the smugglers in Tasmania. And so some of them have information about their forebears, but I also got information from the Tasmanian records. So they measured the convicts on arrival, they recorded where they were sent, what jobs they were given, so it was a mixture of things.
And finally, could you tell us, why should someone buy this book?
Well, I found it really fascinating, finding out how these men lived, what the times were like. It was on the brink of social change. We'd had the Napoleonic Wars, people were very poor, unemployment was high, we were heading towards agricultural riots because conditions were so poor. And I really just found myself asking whether they were criminals, whether they were desperate, whether they were a mixture, and that's what I hope people will get from fictionalising it. I think that they won't just be facts on the page, they will be people that they feel they've come to know, and that some of them were probably quite good men, and some of them perhaps not quite such good men.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Marian. That's very kind of you to give the time to talk to us. That was Marian Newell, the author of A Devil's Dozen, the thrilling novel set amongst the smugglers of early 19th century England. Thank you for listening.